The next step in developing our plugin is actually a really easy one. It's just includes copying some files from a GitHub repository, but it at the same time makes your plugin development so much easier because it adds autocompletion for all of Adobe XD's plugin APIs, and thus you don't have to remember or look up in the official documentation all of the different function names and so on within the APIs. To get the autocompletion, actually all you need to do is you have to navigate to the Adobe XD/typings GitHub repository, so that's github.com/Adobe XD/typings, and just click here, download the zip file and extract it on your computer. After you've done that, you should have a folder that looks something like this, which just includes all the contents of this repository, and all you then need to do is you need to select the types folder, and you need to select the jsconfig.json and copy that over into your project right here. If I could now successfully do that, that would be great. Now it works. Alright, I want to copy the folder, and as you can see, we now have this folder and we have this jsconfig.json file, and actually, to be compliant with the license of this repository, we'll just copy the license over into the types folder as well. And with that, we should actually already be set up and good to go. And we can now go to our main.js file and should then be able to get some autocompletion. So if we now look at, for example, the rectangle, so I just type in rect, we can see that we get autocompletion for all the different members that this object has. And in that way, you can imagine that it makes it much easier to develop your plugin, since you don't have to constantly navigate around the documentation in your browser all the time, but instead can just take a look at the documentation right in here. It should be mentioned that the TypeScript definitions are currently slightly out of date, but still for most APIs they should be enough up to date to provide you the autocompletion that you need, and in other cases you can just look it up in the documentation. This actually also concludes this step. I made this an extra checkpoint, so in case you weren't able to follow along, you should have the same code if you just copy over all the contents of the step 2 folder within the workshop steps. I thank you very much for watching this video, and in the next video we'll actually take a look at extracting the functionality we developed in here and moving it to a new function that we can then call to basically generate arbitrary rectangles and therefore make it much easier to create multiple rectangles.